If you've heard anything about Kanye West lately, you've probably heard some crazy things. I am here to argue that he is not going crazy, that he is going through a spiritual awakening. Now, whatever you want to agree with, disagree with the little sound bites that are going around, or little tweets or little clips of things taken out of context with what he's saying, hey, most people are going to find certain things that you've clipped to be not good, okay? I just watched the entire Alex Jones interview, and I think that he is going through a spiritual awakening in himself. He's seeing the negative things that he's done himself. He is seeing the negative things that other people have done. And I think that's what everyone is, canceling him over, is he's calling out certain people or certain groups of people. And I think he's in this crossroads where he's awakening. He even talks about he's a baby Christian. He's someone who's new to this. He's lived his life a certain way. And, we're all sinners in that respect. So you could say, oh, well, he's done a lot of bad things, he's done a lot of good things, or this or that, or he's lived a life full of sin. I think we all have. It doesn't matter what level we are in our journey. We're on somewhat of our life journey, and some people are, taking that with the spiritual path, and some people aren't. And I think that he's seeing what's going on. He's someone who's had tons of money, tons of influence, and that's starting to be taken away from him. And I think what's happening is he's starting to go, I don't need all the money. I don't need all the influence. I don't need to be on any of these platforms, but I want to work for good, because I think that's where any artist starts from. Whether you're singing, dancing, writing, doing art, any type, you want to help make people's lives better. You're not doing it because you want to tear people down. You're coming from a good place. Now, you might get warped along the way, and maybe he's starting to realize that he was warped along the way because of the pull of money, and because of the way that the media influences people, and because of the people that were around him, and certain types of people that are around him. That's what he's insinuating. But when he says that, again, when you take it out of context, you don't understand what he's talking about. I watched the whole Alex Jones interview, and on that interview, he talks about there is evil working amongst people. It doesn't matter who you are, there's evil. There was evil working against himself. He talks about Satan and the devil and these forces playing on you. And that is what's making people make these decisions. That's what drove him into using alcohol and, doing these other acts that he would find bad today. But hey, he might do these things tomorrow, but he's on this journey, and he wants better for himself, and he really does want better for the world around him. So you're going to see lots of people talk about him saying he is insane, he's crazy, he's this, he's that, but they're taking all of that out of context. If they really watch what he's saying, he'll understand that, hey, everyone has good and evil in them. We are going to highlight certain parts about them. And he uses certain very controversial people, and you might say there's no way, it's unforgivable. You can never say that, like, for instance, that there's something good about Hitler. But there were people that died loving Hitler, and not because they just wanted to see the whole world burn. There were good people that died loving that person. So this thing of nuance we've gotten rid of. Only these people can be good, only these people are bad, and nothing that they can do will ever be good, and nothing that they do will ever be bad, or maybe they can go bad, but they, as of right now, they're good. We have this split. And what he's trying to say is there's always that dynamic, there's always that back and forth, the yin, the yang, that's always happening between any human being, no matter how good or how bad you are. There are good parts about you, and there are bad parts about you. Jordan Peterson talks about this, okay? Even the cartoons have the devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other shoulder. So this is always a dynamic that is happening throughout human history and within communities, societies, and individuals. And I think that Kanye is starting to realize this. He's starting to have money taken away from him, his influence taken away from him, and he's going, this is weird because he's played for the mainstream. I mean, he was as mainstream as it gets for such a long time. And he's seeing what it's like to be canceled. He's surrounding himself with people who are canceled like Alex Jones and Nick Fuentes. And he's like, hey, these people who the media says are these terrible people, these white supremacists, these racists, these, these terrible, terrible, terrible people, they're just human beings too. And he's like, I'm just a human being. I want to have, my family, and I want to have these certain experiences with my life. And he's starting to see, and for him, the Bible and Jesus is his way out of freedom. And I think for a lot of people, that's the route. I'm not trying to tell you that that's the route for you. I'm saying that that's the way that the route that he's finding. When he speaks, he makes a lot of sense. Yes, you might find him a little wacky, all right? But I think that anybody who's gone down a somewhat of a spiritual, imagine being where he was at and then now where he's at in the matter of weeks. It's a very shocking thing. And to go through that, it's going to rattle you. And the fact that he's still alive, that he hasn't taken his own life, that he hasn't done anything drastic to try to take his own life or something along those lines, something dangerous, let's just say, or gone down the other route of drinking and drugs and fornication and what have you. The fact that he is going out and speaking and he's walking around with the Bible and he's trying to tell everyone, look, I love you and I wish the best on you. I might have my opinions about you, but I wish the best upon you. That to me is showing that he's starting to get it. Now, it could go anywhere from here, but I think that he is on, as he says, he's a baby Christian. He's at the beginning of his journey. I think he's at the beginning of a spiritual awakening. And I think that as long as he stays on this path of kind of outside of the mainstream, and I don't think he'll ever get back with some of the sound bites and the quotes and the things that are going to be taken from this Alex Jones interview, I think it's actually going to be better for him as a human being. Owen Benjamin is one of these people who he was actually quoting in his Alex Jones interview. And Owen Benjamin has been canceled from everything, pretty much. And he is a comedian. And I look at him and I see someone who is much happier now, in a better place. And he's found a way to get away from it. It was rough for him in the middle of it all when he was getting canceled and he didn't know how he was going to, support his family. He's got a big family, lots of kids. And I think people see them and they go, well, they're canceled. They're away from it all. They don't have the same influence that they had. They must be unhappy. I think for some people, they might be, and, they go down a bad route. But for a lot of people, it's a good thing. And I think for Kanye, it will be good for him. I think he sees that today, but I think he wants that the canceled people and those types that have just been ostracized for whatever reason to be given a voice, free speech. A lot of people agree with that. Hey, people can be wrong, people can have different opinions, but we should all be able to communicate with one another. And he's starting to see that maybe the life of the mainstream that is, starting to pull away from the family, pull away from religion, pull away from some of these things. Whether you agree with that or not, he's starting to see that from with his own life as his own person, that those things, that lifestyle is not conducive. He wasn't happy. He wasn't fulfilled. He had all the money. He had all the influence. He had all these things. All that stuff's getting taken away from him. And he's starting to go, I don't need any of that. I need other things that will help fill me up. Now you might say, well, that's easy to say. Once you've had all the money and you've had all these things, try being at the bottom for a while and then coming around and saying that. So I get what you might be saying, like, hey, it's easy for someone who's lived a great life to then flip it and say, well, I don't need any of that stuff. I've already experienced it. But therein lies some of the profoundness of what's going on with him. He's had it. He's had it all. He's been one of the most popular people. He's had the hits. He's had all these things. And I think he's starting to see that not just the physical realm, the spiritual realm, the stuff that you can't see, the stuff that you can't buy, the stuff that you can't taste and touch and take a picture of, that stuff, whatever that stuff is more important than anything. And that, having that as your target, aiming for that, making that a better experience, the spiritual experience better, when you aim for that, all the rest gets taken care of. So I don't know what is going to hold, what holds for tomorrow with Kanye, yay. And I just think that he's on the beginning of a spiritual journey, a spiritual awakening, and it's good for him. And if you want to take him out of context, you will find negative things. You could take me out of context, you're going to find negative things. But if you actually listen to the person, if you sat down with him and you listen to him and hear what he has to say, and not just get, riled up by, some of these random quotes or one thing, one word or one sentence that he's saying, you actually listen to where he's coming from and what he's dealing with, you'll see that it's a big cry for help. And he's, in my opinion, I think he's going to the best place that he can go. He's going to the Bible. He's going to people that have, you've been canceled. They're not going to make him they're not uplifting him. They're, if anything, making it harder for him to get back into the mainstream, which I think it might be good for him. And I think that as long as he stays on this path, I think that he's going to be okay. But many people, I've already seen a lot of videos where people are just saying he's lost it, he's officially done, he's officially crazy. Even Alex Jones is saying that he's is kind of like, whoa, you're like on another level. But I think that he's starting to get it. He's starting to understand that nuance and having an opinion and looking at things and looking at someone and saying, look, you're good and you're bad. You're bad and you're good. That there is no one or the other. That we're all have some shades of gray in us. I think that is the truth. We're all sinners, no matter how good you are, no matter how bad you are, you have some essence of good in you and you can be saved. I think a lot of people don't want to hear that. I think a lot of people want to say this person's evil and there's nothing that we can do for them. They were always bad. They were this, they were that. And there may be people that are like that. But I think giving people a second chance and giving people hope and looking for that good is what's going to save us versus what's going to bring us and make us fight with each other. And I think that's what's going on with the mainstream media. They've been doing that, the entire time. I'm going to make another video on that. And we're breaking each other down instead of seeing how similar we are. So when you listen to Kanye, when you see any of this stuff, remember that he's a human being. He is some larger than life celebrity. He has said some crazy things. He has done wild things, but he's a human being. He's done bad things. He's done good things, and he's trying in whatever way that he's doing. I've kind of explained some of that today, but he's trying to do things better, and he's aiming on that spiritual path. So Kanye West, he's not going crazy. He's not going insane. He's the most sane he's ever been. He's struggling right now, but if he stays on this path, I think it will be good for him, good for his mental health. It might not be good for his pocketbook, but I think that he'll find a way. He's a very smart guy. He'll find a way to live a great life no matter what goes on. And so I don't think that's going to be any of his problems. I think it's more up here, and I wish him the best of luck. Until next time, I'll see you then.